Hello my plant friends, today let's go and revive this very sad looking philodendron red sun, and I'm going to share with you all the tips I have to reviving this plant. So first of all, we're going to get our clippers to get rid of all the dead and dying leaves because there's really no use to the plant anymore. The plant's probably using more energy to try and maintain it, so let's just get rid of it. And the potting mixture I'm using is a very airy potting mixture which consists of equal parts of potting mix, also orchid bark, and also horticultural charcoal, and also perlite. Now if you don't have perlite there, you can always use other products like pumice. You can substitute it for sand. I've also had a subscriber also mention using crushed clay balls. To be honest, I've never used crushed clay balls before, but if you have experience with it, I'd love to hear about your experience with it down in the comment section down below. The pot I'm using is one pot size bigger than the original pot. It's a square pot. It has a lottage drainage hole, and it's just a plastic nursery pot which has a lot of drainage holes. So the main part is you do need a pot that has a lot of drainage holes to make sure you don't overwater the plant. And I'm going to take the philodendron out of the pot. Now there's different ways of taking it out of the pot. You can use a tool to dig it out. What happened to this one, when I went to pull it out, the nursery pot, the whole plant came out, and I suspect that's because the actual soil that it came from, it had a lot of like moss in it, and so the actual soil was very well, I would say very soggy, and it's probably led to one of the reasons why this plant is not doing so well. So when I pulled it out, the whole plant came out. But if you have trouble taking your philodendron out of your nursery pot, you can either dig it out or press on the side of the plastic pot just to loosen it up. And I'm going to get rid of all the old soil that was from the original nursery. And you don't have to be exact. You don't have to get rid of everything, but try and get rid of as much as you can. If you come across roots that are white, leave them alone. They're healthy roots. If you're coming across roots that are brown, black, mushy, they have a funky smell, that's actually rotted roots. You don't want to transfer those rotted roots into the new pot because that can bring a lot of fungal disease and lead to root rot. So you want to cut away all those rotted roots. And then what you want to do is that this philodendron red sun is actually a climber. It's not a crawling type of philodendron because there's two types. There's a climbing philodendron and a crawling philodendron. If it's a climbing philodendron, what it means that it's from the tropical rainforest, but in an area where the plant actually likes to climb up the trees, so it likes to attach to things, climb up the trees to create those more bigger and more beautiful leaves. If it's a clawing philodendron, it's actually at the bottom of the canopy and on the ground where it likes to grow horizontally, crawling along the ground. So if it's a crawling type of philodendron, you don't really need anything to actually make it climb upwards. You don't need a moss pole or coir pole or plank of wood. But because this is a philodendron a red sun, which is a climbing type of philodendron, I'm going to use a cocoa coir pole to attach the philodendron to it so it can climb upwards to create those bigger, beautiful leaves. The actual moss pole, well, not the moss pole, but the coconut coir pole, I've just popped it in the middle of the pot because the plant that it came from, it's actually not one plant. It was multiple plants planted in the pot, and so I'm going to spread out all the actual philodendrons all around the coir pole, the coir coconut pole, so that it's more even, and this in time will create a bigger, more lush and more fuller pot. And once the moisture has been taken away with the soil, I'm just going to dig it and then place the actual philodendron down in the soil, I'm going to make sure that all the roots are 1 inch, at least 1 inch below the top surface of the soil. So basically I put just about 1 inch of the stem in the soil, which is roughly around about 1.5 centimeters underneath the soil. I don't want to put too much of the stem underneath the soil, because when watering it can actually rot the actual stem of the plant, the main stem of the plant. So 1 inch or 1.5 centimeters below the surface of the soil is plenty. I'm just going to evenly spread out the philodendrons around the coconut coir pole. I'm going to also use this plant tape to actually secure the philodendrons to the pole as well. So once that's done, I want to make sure that the soil is tapped down while I'm planting the plants in the new pot, because I want to try and get rid of as much air pockets as possible. To try and get rid of air pockets, you can also use a stick or a chopstick and go around the pot to do that. It's important to do that because if there is air pockets in the soil, it means that it's an area where the philodendron is not going to be able to access water or nutrients. So it's like wasted space. So make sure that try and get rid of as much air pockets as possible. You can also shake the pot as well. This one is a bit heavy to shake, but if you're planting your philodendron in a smaller pot and you shake it, that also helps to get rid of air pockets as well. And then I'm going to water this philodendron. So first of all, I'm going to use a hose because I'm growing this philodendron outside, and I'm going to wash the leaves because repotting a plant, well, the leaves are bound to get dirty. So I want to remove all the dirt off the leaves so that the leaves, whatever remaining leaves, has the best chance to capture the sunlight to photosynthesize more energy for the plant to grow. I'm also going to lightly water the soil to make sure the soil is moist and not soggy. So if it's soggy, it means that the soil is going to hold too much water for too long, and that's a risk for root rot. And if you want to check if the soil is moist or soggy, easiest way is just to use one of the plant meters there, pop it in the soil there, and only water it to the point where it stays moist and not soggy. This pot, I've actually placed it on a plastic tray as well, and I find what's helpful is that when repotting a philodendron, they do like that extra humidity, and to give it an extra boost of humidity, what I do is place the pot on a tray, and I fill up the tray with water. Now you can put stones in the tray so that the plant is actually sitting on top of the stone so that the soil doesn't gain as much water, so the soil doesn't end up being soggy. Now I only lightly watered this plant, so it's fine for me to actually completely fill up this tray of water, because there's still some areas in this soil that hasn't got enough water, and so the water in the tray is going to naturally go up in the soil, but also create that extra humidity as well. Now this philodendron I'm growing outside, I placed it under cover, and this is an area where it's going to receive direct morning sunlight and indirect sunlight all day long. Basically, philodendrons, they're very sensitive to the harsh afternoon direct sunlight. If this philodendron is placed in direct afternoon sunlight, it's most likely going to burn the leaves. So if you have an area in your home or outside, just make sure it's only receiving direct morning sunlight and indirect sunlight for the rest of the day. And I'm going to re-water this philodendron once the soil is almost completely dry. Because philodendrons, they don't necessarily like it to be completely dry, but almost, so that to make sure that at least 3/4 of the soil is completely dry before re-watering it. So we're going to come back to this plant in a few months' time and I'm going to show you the results. But this is how I revive a philodendron that's almost dead. If you have tips of your own, I'd love to read about in the comment section down below. Don't forget, if you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer you. And if you found this content useful, don't forget to help your crazy plant lady out and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me to create more content for your viewing. Now, if you want to know how to actually propagate a philodendron, watch this video here, how I explain how to propagate a philodendron. I'll see you in the next video.